everyone, Christina here. Today I would like to share about a point that a friend on Facebook brought up in terms of how she's establishing a more wholesome living in relation to her weight and her relationship with her body. And she asked for suggestions on what others are doing to create a kind of wholesome, balanced relationship with the body, so the food and the exercise and all that goes into it. And for me, this is something I can really relate to in terms of her saying that, you know, her relationship with her body and her weight has been kind of like her kryptonite, kind of her biggest weakness. I can definitely relate to that. And without giving too much of a long history, because it is a lifetime of creating our relationship to our body, I'll just say where I'm at the moment. This last year kind of came to a head in terms of seeing how much I was possessed by this idea of how I wanted my body to look, and the reality being not that at all. And so I noticed in this last year how much I was reacting to my body and reacting to the changes that weren't happening based on what I was doing in terms of diet and exercise. And I was becoming just possessed in a way where it took up so much of my mental energy thinking about this. And so for me, it got to a point where I realized, despite the exercise, there was no changes, and despite the weight, there was no changes. And so I realized that there was a third dimension that I wasn't considering, which is my relationship to my body, which was the thoughts and the emotions and the ideas and expectations and desires and the fears and all that I had in relation to my body and what I look like and weight. And so for me, I got to a point where I needed to, in order to create a more wholesome relationship, I had to step back and let go of the possession basically I was in, of caring so much about my body and how it looked and why nothing was changing. I realized that I had to incorporate more work, not with my diet or my exercise, but with who I was and who I am in relation to my body. So working with the mental aspects of my weight and my body, and that I did with, you know, self-forgiveness and writing and reflecting self-honestly on who I am in my day-to-day living in relation to my weight. But with that, I also, I had tested different ways of exercising, and what worked, in my 20s isn't working now in my 30s. And so, despite trying things that used to work in the past not working, I had to discover new ways of exercising. And for me, what actually really supported was getting into yoga. And I think it was supportive because yoga teaches and is a practice of body awareness and breath awareness and really kind of grounding yourself in your physical. And I think that's so important when it comes to dealing with your weight and your body relationship, becoming in tune, starting a dialogue, essentially, listening to where your body's at each day in a yoga practice I found to be really supportive. And it doesn't have to be a strenuous exercise. It's not super high cardio, but it uses the body's strength to strengthen itself, and it uses the body's own capabilities to kind of perfect its physicality, I guess. I mean, it supports not only with how you physically look, but it supports with circulation and digestion and just that overall, again, body awareness. So that's definitely been supportive for me in creating a more wholesome relationship with my body, doing yoga. I really enjoyed that. And then also I've been definitely still learning how to incorporate this practice, but intuitive eating, which is more of just kind of looking at a moment when I notice I want to eat and I'm hungry, and kind of listening to what the body wants. So, looking at certain foods and asking myself, do I want to eat this and do I want to eat that? And just seeing kind of how my body responds. And like I said, I'm definitely new to this practice, so I can't say that it's I haven't seen any drastic effects or changes within me in relation to that, but it's something that I'm just starting to incorporate, and it's a discipline. It's a practice of, like with yoga, learning to listen to the body and starting a dialogue with the body and establishing an actual relationship with the body. Whereas for so long, for me especially, my relationship has been strictly defined through the mind. So it's like I haven't even really interacted with my physical body in trying to have a relationship with it. I've just imposed ideas that I've learned from my external realities on what it should be or how it should function or what it should look like. So that's another thing that I've done. I've also let go of the need to eat certain things. If I want something salty, I'll eat something salty. If I want something sweet, I'll eat something sweet. I do try to, eat more vegetables than anything, or fruits more than anything. I try to cut down on the carbs, or if I have carbs, make sure that I'm having a good balance of fiber with it. So that's another way in which I'm trying to establish a more wholesome relationship with my body. But ultimately, I think all of it has come from the starting point of realizing I have to let go of the ideas I've created throughout a lifetime of what my body should look like, and learn to embrace what it is and to work with that. And I can say that since coming to that realization and decision of how I will move with my exercise and food, that it is supported a lot in me letting go of a need to be something that my body's not, and just accepting and embracing what it is. And that ultimately I think is what creates the best relationship, because then you're working with what is here and not with an idea or a projected expectation or, a mental image that doesn't actually exist. So that's how I've been kind of walking my journey with the weight and my relationship with my body. And thanks to Anna for posing the question and inspiring the sharing. And also wanting to say, of course, we all have a long history with our relationship with our bodies, and I'm sure I have a lot more history to share on it, and perhaps that is something that I will bring through later in future vlogs or recordings. But just keeping it at where I am now, that's where I'm at now. Okay, thanks. Bye.